I've had a son who's had a tough time through cancer. How on earth could I have missed something that's been such a prominent part of my life? The work-life balance had just swung so far the other way. Opening up, talking about the more personal, the things that are a little bit more uncomfortable. I'm keen to push my boundaries, even if it makes me cringe a little bit. So I've always known I'm a bit of an overthinker. You polish the edges off everything and it just becomes a bit too polished and a bit less personal that way. It's just about doing consistently doing the right things over and over again over a long period of time. You do the right things for the right reasons and you do that consistently over a long period of time and you get success for that. I think resilience would be my word.
Hello and welcome to On Brand, the show by Rosalia Lazzara. I am highlighting industry leaders within the mortgage, property and construction space, the titans of our industry, the names that are out there that we always see on social media. But how did they do it? How did they build it? What's their backstory? This show promises to deliver branding lessons, marketing tips, and social media tactics that help your brand go from invisible to unmissable. These will be all the stories from the best people in the industry, sharing their insights on how they did it. Every conversation will be real, raw, nothing is filtered. This is an opportunity for you to really dig deep and find out exactly what marketing strategies and branding theories are behind some of the best names and brands in our industry. So remember to subscribe so that you do not miss an episode. Today, I am joined by someone who's quietly shaping the infrastructure behind property finance. From building high-performance teams, banking background, to now modernizing the valuation panel process, my guest today on the show is not just a guest, but also the sponsor of the show. It is my pleasure to speak on the couch today with Stephen Henman from Method VM. The reason I invited Stephen on the show is firstly because we have been working together and we have been putting his brand out there, reshaping his personal brand, balancing personal and business branding, and getting Method out there a little bit more. And what I respect about that is that this is so far out of Stephen's comfort zone. He's built a phenomenal career without having to perform on LinkedIn. And now the landscape has changed. It is non-negotiable today to not have a brand or a visibility on social media of some kind. So I'm introducing this marketing strategy into Method's business so that Method can grow. And what I respect about people like Stephen is that they are never afraid to push buttons, push outside of their comfort zone, learn and innovate. And that's exactly his attitude within Method anyway. The perfect storm of a beautiful bunch of people, that human side connecting with technology, making it the perfect balance. That's exactly the attitude Stephen is applying to his marketing and personal branding strategies now that he's introducing into Method. So welcome to the On Brand Show. This is the show that promises to deliver you insights around marketing and branding, whether you are a 20-year-old business or just starting now. These are going to be the lessons that you need to learn from the best names in our industry. You get to see behind the scenes how they think, how they act, how they perform to ensure that their businesses are thriving in today's market. Stephen, you are influencing over 500 million in lending decisions, right? What kind of mind do you need to have day to day to handle that?
Well, you try not to think about the numbers. There's a huge amount of lending going through linked to the valuations that we're delivering at the moment, and put that into context, well over 1,000 valuations a month, well over £1 million worth of valuation fees that we're passing out to our panel of firms. So you don't think about the numbers too much. Our team think about the individual cases, think about the service we're delivering, think about meeting the client's expectations, and with that, the numbers flow. So yeah, you don't think about the numbers too much. But they're big numbers.
There's big numbers. So what do you put that down to? Like, how did you reach those levels? Because you have to have kept some people happy.
We're increasingly we're keeping more and more happy. So we've grown those figures. In the 4 or 5 years I've been at Method, we've grown those figures about 400 or 500% and continuing to grow. How do we keep those people happy? Well, it's just about doing consistently doing the right things over and over again over a long period of time. And it's things that we set out to do, which links certainly to Method's brand and kind of to my brand in the background as well. The things that we link to: consistency around transparency, it's around delivering great service, it's around not ripping people off and delivering for the right, being aligned to almost bank level values and behaviors, even if we're not in a regulated entity and regulated environment ourselves.
Yeah, love that. So tell me where you started with Method and where you are today. You kind of alluded there to the growth.
Yeah, so I started with Method 5 years ago, coming up to 5 years. It'll be 5 years from June this year. Before that, I had a 15-year banking career. Started out at large banks. I learnt my lending and learnt how to underwrite at Lloyds TSB. A small stint of time at Santander before being one of those that helped set up Atom Bank, but in 2015. So, and that was all on the underwriting and lending side. Helped set up another new bank not long after that. And so I'd been a Method client at two places before, and I knew what banks and lenders want from their valuation panel manager provider. So I got a great opportunity to move across to Method in mid 2021, and was just given free rein to grow the business as best I could. We've had a good stab at that. It's gone very, very well. And as I say, that's just been by doing the simple things right over a long period of time, growing those relationships on both the lender and broker side, but also the surveyor side, treating both equally. I think it's really, really important. And that ties into my kind of long-standing value of fairness, really. So fairness for the borrower, for both sides of that coin. Very much appreciate that at Method. Without both the valuers and the lenders, we haven't got a business. So we treat them both equally and try to treat them as well as we can.
Now, I've been sat next to people who use Method, who work through Method.
Good. Fans, hopefully.
Well, what do you think they say? What do you think has been whispered in my ear? If you're not in the room, what do you think they're saying?
What would we like them to say? We'd like them to say that we're a good bunch to work with, really, that we treat them fairly. Occasionally have to be firm, but that's because we're trying to deliver the best for everybody. That not only are we firm and fair, but also that we're knowledgeable and do the right things to move cases along. Yes. Also that we've got good technology, but all of that sort of thing is just how you go about doing your work.
Yeah. You'd be very correct to hear that. That's what I heard. And why do you think I've invited you on the show today to do a talk on branding and being on brand and building a brand? Why do you think you're here?
Why am I here? Because I've been trying to change the way I work my personal brand. So I would historically say my brand has been almost understated, a little bit quiet in the background. More recently, we've been working together. We've been trying to change that a little bit. So I've been having to think a bit more about personal brand. That was something that's probably built accidentally historically, but now trying to give that a lot more thought.
And so on that note, what have you found most difficult?
It's the selfies, as we've discussed time and time again. I'm more than happy to share opinions. I've got opinions on everything and anything, and usually more than happy to share them. But it's getting them, articulating them, and structuring those opinions, but then accompanying them in with a selfie is the more difficult
now
thing.
For context, let's just tell the people why the selfies. What is our rationale at the moment behind the selfie?
It's to get my face out there a little bit more. So in a similar way to how Method was when I found Method, it wasn't as well known as it should have been. They were doing great work behind the scenes, and my background has been a little bit like that, I suppose. It worked very hard behind the scenes, but wasn't as well known out in the industry as perhaps I could have or should have been. And you can be more known by sharing opinion, but without your face next to it, it's not going to be as well recognized. So yeah, so the selfies are to get my face out there a little bit more. It always works a little bit better when they're not rushed selfies by the side of a railway line, but you do what you have to do.
Yeah. And what's been the feedback? Like, as you've been doing it, you're not exactly breaking records at the moment with likes, we're not going for the likes and the vanity metrics, but what's been the general census from the industry?
Generally very positive. Had some great feedback. People that are much better at this than I am are saying I'm doing the right sort of things.
Colin, yes, we're speaking about you. Yes, it's you. Okay.
Indeed,
Yes.
yeah. So many people say I'm doing the right sort of things. I've got lots of good good knowledge, good experience that's well worth sharing. A few of my old mates, not from the industry, find it a little uncomfortable, so I get a bit of a ribbing from
Everyone
them. But
says
that's okay.
that.
We can take that as well.
Everyone says that. What's been holding you back? Like, because we've been through our sessions, right? And there's obviously things that I am suggesting that are uncomfortable. What are those uncomfortable moments? I know the selfie, but you've done them anyway. What feels uncomfortable at the moment?
Well, the things that come easy to me are talking about things that happen every day in the industry and things that are method related or industry related. Now, that sort of thing is very professional. You expect to talk about that all day, every day. Opening up on the more personal side is a challenge, really, and it's something that you almost you're trained as you're growing up, particularly as a boring old banker. You're trained to leave that stuff at the door. So opening up, talking about the more personal, the things that are a little bit more uncomfortable, that is a little uncomfortable. So, yeah, that's the challenge. That's the direction to go. But people feed on that sort of stuff and get to know you as an individual more when you do open up. So yeah, that sort of stuff and the selfies is the way to go. But it's the things that's a little bit more difficult.
It's uncomfortable. What's been the upside though to doing that?
The upside is people get to know you and you show your hand a little bit, and because of that, people link on to things that you've said. I've talked about some things that are very, very personal to me, as we've spoken about before, and we've put a couple of articles out in recent years. I've had a son who's had a tough time through cancer. He's in a great place at the moment. But opening up about that sort of thing, people get to know you a little bit more, and as we know, people buy from people relate to people. And giving people an insight into some of the more difficult and personal parts of your background make it easier to do business sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we wouldn't go out for a coffee or go to an event and just talk about technology and platforms and, you know, what valuations are doing at the moment, we might touch on that. But the rest of the time, we have to talk about, you like sports, don't you, Stephen? You're a big fan of sports. So, you know, I've said, you know, and I hope that, you know, my message isn't just take loads of selfies and sell out on social media and just talk about your deepest, darkest secrets, but about bringing some of your insights, your views, your values, your beliefs, your interests, like football, for example. So it's not about, you know, talk about the real personal stuff and lay it all out there. It is just about introducing those little anecdotes and little facts about Stephen that make you Stephen, really.
That's right, yeah. And much of my personal brand comes from the competitive nature, my sporting background, the fairness that comes from that. So yeah, everything ties in to be the professional that you become as well.
And how are you balancing this now with business branding? Obviously, still keeping that method name prominent, but now introducing Stephen's face a little bit more. How are you navigating that balance?
Again, it's tricky, but I think it's easier if there's a strong link between your personal brand and your corporate brand. And thankfully, that the things that have been important to me, even being the understated underdog, for want of a better phrase, is similar to that background and track record of methods. So there's a strong correlation between us. Because of that, the branding is entwined as well. So it helps if you're coming from the same direction, and that you don't have to have a different corporate brand to your personal one.
But why LinkedIn now? Why all of a sudden did you? I mean, I didn't know you were following me. I didn't know you were looking at my content. How did you come to the decision to be like, right, I need to pay someone to make me do something I hate? Why would you even do that?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to keep pushing boundaries and to do things that make you feel a little uncomfortable. We're in an industry where an awful lot of us are on LinkedIn. I've had a LinkedIn account now for probably 12 years plus, and that's grown steadily over the time. So why now decide to put myself out there a little bit more on LinkedIn? Well, it's the way that our industry communicates. It's the social media of choice. We don't use too many other platforms. Everyone's on there, so that's the easiest way to reach people. There's an awful lot of business done on there, and I think we've seen a bit of a shift on LinkedIn of people doing more personal posts, being publicly out there more personally rather than purely on the company side. We've done a good job over the last couple of years of growing our company page, but I think it's now time to try something a little bit different. I'm keen to push my boundaries, even if it makes me cringe a little bit.
Yes.
But yeah, keen to do something different. And it seems to be working. Early days, though.
Early days, of course, it takes time, consistency. But you've had some early wins already. You're getting noticed. If you're getting noticed, people are talking about you. If people are talking about you, that can only lead to opportunities. You're sat here. By the way, as the sponsor, I mean, I've got my intro somewhere here of you being the sponsor, but why did you choose to sponsor like a podcast like this? What attracted you to this?
Well, people know people, and it was a great collection of guests that you've got on the podcast. So I was keen to support those individuals, keen to work with you, keen to get Method's brand and name out there a little bit more. We're growing incredibly well. Pardon me. We're growing incredibly well, but there's always more that can be done. We've not sponsored or partnered on a podcast before, so keen to do something a little bit different. So the stars seem to align, and it seemed like a good idea to do this, and hopefully it's very successful.
Yes, well, I hope to bring that for you. But everything so far all day has been amazing. Every guest has been phenomenal, and this is the power of branding. It's not who's the loudest on LinkedIn. Okay, so I wanted to work with you on a holistic marketing strategy, not just how to post a selfie on LinkedIn. Right? We're trying to push those boundaries, and I know that for you, what really matters is connections. And that's not something that every social media manager can sell. Like if you're a social media manager, if you're a brand strategist, if you're a marketer, you just do that. Whereas the niche and unique position that we're in is that I'm in the industry that you operate in, and people know me, people know you by association, even before so this is the first time we've actually spoken about working together, because so far it's been secret, behind the scenes, no one's really known, but people know. So I've had people say to me, are you working with Stephen? Because he's changed all of a sudden online. So it's happening organically. So this is the start of your journey. And I wanted to give you this platform to, because when I see something, I can't give everyone, sometimes I just have to do my job, right? I just go to that person, say, this is how you post on LinkedIn. Bye-bye, good luck. Other times I come across brands that I'm like, more people, I can really make I could influence that. I can make an impact. And that's a big thing to hang my hat on, because I can't give everyone, my name and be like, yeah, let's put it out there. But, particularly for you, I was hearing good stuff in the industry. People were whispering good things in my ear.
Good.
And I was like, okay, they deserve a spotlight. And that's what I hope to have brought here for you.
Absolutely. Likewise. And likewise, we heard good things of the work that you do, and that you're very well connected in the industry. And it was one of the things that attracted us to work with you. And hopefully the partnership can benefit everybody. Everyone
wins. And that is the brand lesson I wanted to put across in this show, is not how Stephen is mastering LinkedIn. Okay. What I respect about you is that you do what's uncomfortable. I love it when people get uncomfortable. Okay. Sorry if I relish in seeing you burn and be, but it just makes me, it's that I feel it's relatable, because as an entrepreneur, MD, entrepreneur, whether it's your business, someone else, doesn't matter. That spirit of pushing boundaries, pushing yourself is what I respect. You're not just doing it for the sake of virality. You're not saying what's the best post? We went through this. Do you remember we called it don't write a #1 bestseller every time, just post because you're adding value, not because you're trying to make that post amazing. But in this short space of time that we've worked together, about 8 weeks so far, recording this show, you've been posting on LinkedIn. You've sponsored this podcast. You're on a podcast. You've been for lunch with some industry colleagues.
Indeed.
you have been introduced to a potential new lead. You know, what's happening here is you're not just posting on LinkedIn, you're already evolving your brand through different channels, and you're pushing yourself to do that. It's keeping you on point.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the next stage in the evolution for us, in that we've done various things over my time at Method to try and get us a little bit more well known, and whether that be sponsoring awards, whether it be getting out and about and
coming to MIPIM with us next year.
Yeah, apparently so. So that would be great. That'd be great to do that.
We missed you there this year.
I'd love to go there one day. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be great we'll continue doing different things, new things to reach new markets. And we still think there's a long way to go with that. As well as we think we've grown Method's brand, and we've grown Method's how well people know of Method out in the network, but there's still an awful long way to go, and we're certainly not finished yet. And whilst we've grown well, we're only half the size of where we would like to be.
What is the struggle there? What is the struggle behind building the name of your business and getting out there and being more well known?
It's a competitive marketplace, so we're not the only panel manager out there. There are others doing similar things to what we do. There's a finite number of lenders. There's a bigger number than ever, but there's a finite number of lenders out there, and it takes a long time to win a new lender client. Sometimes, particularly for a new bank, that can take 6, 12, 18 months to onboard a new lender client. So it takes a long time to grow the business. We've done a good job of doing that, but there's more to be done. And with new lenders coming at the market all the time, bigger and better, bigger and more prominent, should we say, banks and bridging loan providers becoming open to using panel managers all the time, that there's more to go for that perhaps weren't there previously.
How can you cut through that noise? Because I imagine, obviously, you're going to say Method is the best, right?
Absolutely.
And everyone else is going to say they're the best.
Sure.
But what's the truth? What is the real, what is it that frustrates you, that you're like, if people knew this, it would be the obvious choice?
Well, in some ways, what works and what's best for one set of lenders or for one specific lender isn't necessarily what's best for every other lender. So everybody sets their stall out in a certain way, and everyone will live and die by that. What do we think we do better than anybody else? We build the relationships in the right way. We treat everybody like professionals. We don't prefer one side of the fence to the other. So we treat our lenders and our surveyors as professionals and as equals, but we're very open and we're very transparent. And a lot of this isn't groundbreaking new stuff. It should just be, you do the right things for the right reasons, and you do that consistently over a long period of time, and you get success for that. There's no need to chop and change your direction and to change your approach often. Yeah, we might try something new and reach new places, but overall, the values, the USP, the brand, remains the same.
I love that. I think that is what I hadn't appreciated, is the valuers' opinions of you guys. You know, it's how they feel, it's how they are treated, it's the respect that you show them, and you know, why mention it if it's the basic standard? Like, that should just happen as a given. But yeah, that's been the most prominent comment that I've heard, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's something that is ingrained into every one of us that works at Method. We whether that be new or people have been there for a long time, it's very important to everybody about how we speak to people, whether that be about an individual case, whether it be a relationship. And that's the same whether it's surveyors. Absolutely, the panel are very, very important to us, but we don't treat them any better or any worse than we do the brokers and the lenders and the applicants and borrowers that we come across as well.
So going back around like LinkedIn, obviously you were a very big fan of like reading other people's content. You've been a follower of my content, other people. What is the love-hate relationship that you have? Like, what do you love seeing on LinkedIn? And what's that kind of stuff that just makes you want to turn it off?
I suppose when I'm saying it's difficult to put out the personal stuff, that the things that make you think differently, that's the stuff that you like to read as well. So
Yeah.
I like it when people open up and make you think differently when they talk about something that you might have wanted to hear about or wanted to explore. The things that it's the real salesy stuff puts you off a little bit, but everyone's got to do a bit of that also.
Mm. So, how are you approaching it from your perspective then? How do you want to be perceived on LinkedIn? We can't please everybody, and we certainly can't control, we just can't control how people react. But what kind of attitude are you going into your content with, and how you are being seen on social media?
Well, I just try to be me, and I try to be professional, a little bit less understated maybe than I've been historically, but I just try to be professional, knowledgeable. With the years of experience from both the lender side and now running a panel management firm, I've picked up a fair bit of knowledge along those times. So keen to share a little bit of that, and if that helps anybody out along the way, then fantastic. How do I want to be seen? It's knowledgeable, it's professional, and if you make someone laugh and smile along the way, that's a good thing too.
What's been the best post that you've done so far?
The best or the most enjoyable?
Good. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say the best, like in terms of performance, but like, the one that you enjoyed the most, the one that made the biggest impact, the one that you felt like that's me, that's a me moment. What did you write about?
Well, there's been a few. Well, there's been a few so far, and I haven't been doing it for that long, really.
No, you haven't. But people watching are probably in your shoes thinking, what on earth? He works in the valuation space. What on earth do you post about?
So to pick two to talk about. So the first thing, and we've talked about it, and a word that keeps coming up both with me around the professional background, but also with what Method's all about. The one from a professional perspective that I've enjoyed doing the most was about the transparency, and because that's very, very important to Method. That's how we've set ourselves up to not hide anything, to not hide how much we make on a case, to not hide who's involved, and to really mirror the regulatory expectations of the lenders and the surveyors that we work with. So that I think from a professional perspective, the transparency post was really important. To flip that entirely on its head, from a personal perspective, I put a post out there about having missed World Cancer Day, which was something that, as we've mentioned already, something that was very, very important to me. But I'd just been really busy and been busy doing all sorts of different things. I'd missed World Cancer Day, which was eye-opening. So, well, how on earth could I have missed something that's been such a prominent part of my life? The key thing for me, and one of the big challenges that I've had over the recent years, was that juggling the work-life balance and dealing with something so extreme as an extreme way of juggling that work-life balance. So it was eye-opening in that I'd missed such a prominent day, but because the work-life balance had just swung so far the other way.
And you said to me before how in the past, because your team have held that space for you and you needed to be there for your son and you couldn't be there for Method, it swung the other way, where actually there was a time where you probably missed the biggest completion of the day at Method because you needed to be there for your son. And I know that day that you missed World Cancer Day, I was with you. We were chatting about it, and you were like, when do I post about it? Do I say it now? Do I not say it? Have I missed the boat? And it was just like, Stephen, breathe, go back to thinking about how do you want to honor this moment? Do it for you. Don't do it for LinkedIn. I don't often post on like Chocolate Day, Pancake Day, World Cancer. I don't really post on those days. But I always do something that I wouldn't, I would never tell someone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And on Mother's Day, I did the most vulnerable post that I've ever done in my entire life. And that was not scheduled. It was not planned. I had 8% battery left on my phone, right? And it was one of those moments that it was like, I just realized, oh my gosh, it's Mother's Day. Of course I knew it was Mother's Day. I'd given my mom a present, and my own story just did not come into my consciousness. But I saw that window and I was like, it's a do or don't moment. Like I just do it or I don't. I had 8% battery left. I wrote my heart out, what I wanted to say, posted it, and my phone died. So in that moment, it was almost blissful and peaceful because I was like, I'm not going to see the comments, the likes. I know that post is going to go big. I know because
It's so personal.
It was so personal. But I know that having posted that, so the reason I was second guessing it, if I'm honest, is I thought if I post that, people are not going to want to work with me because they think if she's willing to post something that personal and I'm not, I don't want her to be my teacher. And that could be the case. But then I'm thinking, if you are not human enough to understand that this is my life and that this happens, we're probably not going to get on well. And that's why I get how hard it is to post personally. And then you just think, well, why'd you do it in the first place? Because I wear my heart on my sleeve when I work with people. And yeah, I have to navigate these difficult moments with my clients. Sometimes tragic events happen in the middle of us working together and I've got to help, what do I do? Okay, so your next LinkedIn post is no. That's life. That's why I do it.
And a personal brand has to include the very most personal parts of it.
Do you know how many people have reached out off the back of that post? And there's actually someone in the industry who's had a different life-changing event, had a heart attack, nearly lost his life. And because of what I posted, we had breakfast and he was like, we need to do something together in this industry. We need to give back. So I was like, oh my gosh, like that's incredible. So that's why I do it. It's that my pain could actually help someone else. And that makes me day to day, like happier. I can get, I feel like I've got a purpose. Something happened and I can transform the energy of that thing into something more powerful. Yeah. So a couple of last questions that I want to go at here. What have you learned about yourself in this journey that let's face it, even if you're not posting about something vulnerable, like your son's situation or anything else, what feelings has it brought up? When you're clicking post, when you're turning up to a podcast or when you're going to an event, like what have you learned about yourself? How do you...
Is it what I've learned about it or how to deal with myself a little bit?
Yeah.
In some ways, so I've always known I'm a bit of an overthinker. I think you've alluded to that a little bit there. So
yes,
I do overthink things and usually, but I've used that to my strength many times in the past. I try not to overthink the social media stuff too much because I feel now if I can sterilize things by overthinking it. By you overthinking it, you polish the edges off everything and it just becomes a bit too polished and a bit less personal that way. So I'm trying pretty hard to not be too polished with it. So I've learned that. I've learned to just push different buttons and to try different things. Try not to do too much of the same thing. So when I first went into this, I thought, well, I'll do a post about transparency. We'll do a post about value. We'll do a post about, and all the usual sort of either methods, values, or the usual industry posts. And yeah, we'll do some of that, but I've just been conscious to try and mix things up a little bit.
No, that's good. Yeah. And I think your overthinking has actually helped you learn something a bit more deeply. So you've helped me have to explain something. So when I've said do this, you're like, but should I do it then or should I do it then? And then I've had to explain, and I enjoy it. I've had to explain something that I would have given for granted and been like, okay, no, it's not that obvious. Why would I teach it that way? Why have I? And that's been probably, you're going to learn better long term than anyone else who just learns just by doing, and other people learn by understanding why to do it. So yeah, that's been great to navigate through that with you because it's made me think, why would I explain that? Like, how would I explain that? Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just obvious, right? But yeah, that's helped me become better as well, I hope. Now, final question is two final questions. Before I've asked the final one, Your competitors are watching. What does that mean for you?
What does that mean for us? Well, look, the secured lending space is a big space, isn't it? There's a lot of lenders out there, and everybody plays the game in their own way. There are several panel managers, and everybody does that slightly differently. We think we've got the perfect combination of people and technology. We think we've got our values and our brand set up in the right way. The feedback we're getting is great feedback so far, and the growth underlines that. I'm sure they would say the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So good luck to them. They'll do what they need to do. We do what we need to do, and we're growing, and hopefully we can help the lenders, borrowers, and surveyors along the way.
And that's the thing. The reason I say your competitors are watching is so are mine, and it really shows up a mirror of like your mindset. Like, are you coming from a scarcity mindset? Are you coming from an abundant mindset? Are you coming from, there's enough for everybody to go around? Does it make you shy away from posting and being out there, knowing that, eyes and ears are on you, because it can be really exposing. It's a really vulnerable position to be in because you're putting your neck out there and your face, because you said your selfies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is, you're doing what most people wouldn't do. So, there'll be people that respect that and totally look up to it. And there'll be people that'll be like, why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
But the end result is to help. Yeah.
Yeah. You put yourself out there, but you put yourself out there and you're there to be shot at as well. There is plenty of work out there to be won. Does that mean we want to share it about? Of course we don't. We want all the work, we want all the clients, we want everything. But to do that, we're keen to put the work in as well. And we're keen to deliver on in terms of service, value, and everything else.
Yeah. So lay your stall out. The right people will come. You do the right thing. They'll do the right thing. It's not about 100% share of the market. Like, it's impossible to even sustain that. So, but if you don't, I think what I'm trying to get at in the, in a long-winded way is, but if you don't put yourself out there, what the guaranteed result is. You are not even playing the game.
Yeah.
You're not even visible enough to even be considered.
Yeah, but when I was early in my time at Method, one of the first things that people said to me was that Method needed to get out there much more. And we've had a good go at that, and this is just the next extension of that. There's still a long way for us to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've got plenty to do. We've got more coming up. We've got lots of exciting projects, ideas, and I'm sure people listening to this may have some ideas themselves now that they know about who you are. Maybe there's like awards and events and ceremonies and other podcasts. So good luck. I really hope you get lots of opportunities off the back of it. My final question is, I don't know if you've ever considered this or heard about this, but do you have a word of the year?
Word of the year?
Yeah. So like a word that signifies like what this year is about, like the theme of this year. And if you don't, another guest didn't have a word of the year, you can pick one now.
I haven't got a word of the year so far, but I think the key is looks like it might be around resilience. The market looked like it was bouncing back. In terms of Methods volumes, we've started off incredibly well. We've had a good year. The last thing anybody needed was a war to kick off and everything that comes with that, with inflation and other things. But I think the market is resilient. We've seen shocks. We've even seen clients and key industry players leaving the industry. So I think resilience would be my word.
And not panic. Like, we have to navigate this moment, but we've seen how this industry bounces back.
It always does, doesn't it?
It always does. I've been in it for 11 years.
Stay calm, be resilient.
And do the basics right during these tough moments.
Do the basics, but innovate and move on. Yeah.
Definitely. You have to diversify. Yeah. Love that, Stephen. Thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
Wow, my pleasure. Thank you for sponsoring the show. You've sponsored this cohort of brilliant speakers. A mixture of lenders, and we've got a property investor who's got an £8 million portfolio. We've had a real estate community. We've had yourself. We've had like a very diverse range of colleagues out there in the industry that you all know. So thank you for supporting their voice, for giving them this show, the platform to be able to, helping me facilitate it, basically. So thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's a great bunch and proud to be part of it.